She's an insectoid beast, a creature despised by everyone. Her final destiny is to end up as nothing more than a lab specimen. But when I saw her downcast eyes, I decided she would be my first contracted beast. My classmates mocked me, calling me a fool, but there was one thing they didn't know. I possessed the most powerful insect system in existence, allowing me to contract unlimited bugs. Every time I form a contract with a new insect, my beast space reacts instantly. It automatically pre-incubates a queen of that exact same species. I can also spend points to speed up the queen's replication or force my insect warriors to evolve. Suddenly, an info panel appeared before my eyes, showing 3 types of low-level insects: blade bugs, melee experts, shield bugs for defense, and the tiger beetle as my ultimate fighting force. I bit my finger without hesitation and let my blood drop onto each of the 3 insects. In the blink of an eye, 3 corresponding insect queens were born inside my beast space. The blade and shield queens can produce 1 unit every 3 hours, while the tiger beetle takes 6. Clearly, the tiger beetle's power far exceeds the others. It's a challenge I'm ready for. I don't have points to speed up production yet, but I figured asking my family for startup capital wouldn't be hard. Suddenly, a deafening dragon roar echoed as a lesser frost dragon circled my cousin, Sugi. The head of the family and my Aunt Nu looked at me and asked, "Sumin, did you finish your contract? What did you get?" I answered honestly, "Insects, specifically tiger beetles, blade bugs, and shield bugs." Aunt Nu ignored me completely, handing a dragon blood fruit to Sugi to evolve his dragon's bloodline instead. She's hoping he returns to his true dragon form, and the beast greedily devours the ice fruit. My father couldn't help but ask my uncle why he was discriminating against me like this. My uncle replied with pure contempt, "What can a bunch of bugs achieve? You're nothing without us." After we were kicked out, I told my parents not to worry. I'll build a family more powerful than the Seuss. My father, Su Chong, hesitated for a moment before finally transferring 1 million yuan to my account. I immediately converted that cash into 10,000 system points and opened the insect production interface. I stared at the screen, my eyes locked onto the data. I was hesitating. 10,000 points was all I had left to my name. The reward for the school dungeon trial in 3 days is an item worth 2 million yuan. I thought about Sugi's high-level frost dragon and realized I needed to be ready. I decided to invest 3,000 points into each queen to slash their production time by 2 full hours. 3 days flew by, and I now have 78 shield and blade bugs, plus 25 tiger beetles. As I calculated my odds, Sugi's lackey, Zhaogu, walked up to mock me for being exiled. I didn't even look at him. I just told him to get lost before he could finish his sentence. On stage, the director announced the rules. The dungeon is split into 5 zones based on beast levels. First place gets a bloodline purification agent, while second and third get 500,000 in cash. My heart raced. That purification agent is worth over 3 million and can evolve any beast quality. I grabbed the map and stepped through the dungeon entrance, appearing instantly in a vast grassland. With a single thought, I sent 40 shield and blade bugs roaring out to scout the perimeter. A level 1 long-eared rat lunged at a blade bug, but my shield bug blocked it while the others sliced it in half. The system pinged immediately. I had successfully killed a level 1 long-eared rat, earning bonus XP and points. The coordination was perfect, so I sent every blade and shield bug into the area to begin the sweep. Within an hour, I jumped to level 2. The leveling efficiency of these insects is simply unmatched. I didn't hesitate to push into the green zone, knowing level 2 beasts give 20 XP, while the level 1 area would only slow me down. A fierce giant-toothed boar lunged at me the moment I entered, but my insect army tore it to shreds before it could get close. In just 2 hours, I leveled up again. Reaching level 3 in under 3 hours is a speed no one can match. I decided to abandon the level 2 zone and head straight for the level 3 beasts. Outside the dungeon, Su Tianu impatiently asked the director if the results were ready, and the director smiled broadly. The screen lit up with the scores. I was in first with 2,190 points, followed by Su Jia with 1,580 and Yin Bin with 1,370. The director was stunned by the numbers, while Su Tianu looked confused, wondering how my score could possibly be that high. The director explained that since I carry the Su bloodline, I clearly have a hidden talent that sets me apart. He suggested that maybe this hidden potential is why I chose to contract with insects in the first place. Su Tianu snapped back immediately, insisting it was impossible for mere bugs to ever compare to dragons. 6 hours flew by, and I hit level 5, pushing deeper into new zones to continue the slaughter. My individual units aren't strong enough to fight a level 5 killer alone, but my massive numbers give me the edge. I had accumulated 7,800 points, so I spent them to boost tiger beetle production. Killing for points is faster than spending cash. With 3 hours left, I had cleared the level 4 zone and moved back to level 3, where a saber-toothed tiger suddenly blocked my path. Its owner, Zhaogu, stood nearby with a sneer on his face and shouted, "I finally caught you." The beast lunged before he even finished speaking, so I unleashed my entire swarm to meet the attack. In the blink of an eye, the tiger was picked clean to the bone, leaving Zhaogu trembling and begging for mercy. I waved my hand without a word, and my insect beasts swarmed him instantly. A powerful force suddenly wrapped around me, and a second later, I was teleported out of the dungeon. My classmates emerged one after another, but Xiaogu was nowhere to be found, making the director's face turn solemn. Casualties happened, but since Xiaogu's beast was a saber-toothed tiger, the director sent a search party in immediately. When the rankings hit the bulletin board and I saw my name at the very top, the tension in my chest finally vanished. Su Jie suddenly screamed, "Why am I second? First place should be ours," while his cronies wondered who cleared the center zone. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "I know who did it. It was Su Min." The crowd erupted into whispers. Didn't he just contract some bugs? How could he be this powerful? The director cut through the chatter and announced that the top 100 students would now receive their prizes. In his office, the director solemnly handed me a bottle of blood-red ambergris and said, "Su Min, you earned this." As I walked out of the school gates, Su Jie blocked my path and asked, "How much to sell me that bloodline purifier?" I answered carelessly, 5 million, and he shrieked, "That's robbery. The market price is only 3. I gave him a look of pure contempt and said, "Now it's 6 million. Keep hesitating, and the price keeps climbing." He panicked immediately, stammering, No, 6 million it is. Just look." As the notification for 6 million credits hit my phone, I smiled to myself. I really should have asked for 10. I quickly converted the cash into 60,000 points, bringing my total to 62,600, and decided to evolve my tiger beetles. The evolution data flooded my mind. 12,000 points to cut production to 2 hours, or 18,000 to drop it to 1. I could spend 3,000 points to boost the armored beetle's speed, or 150,000 to reach its final evolution. With that done, I began preparing for the national exam in 5 days. If I hit level 12 by then, victory is mine. I walked through my front door to find Su Tianyu waiting in the courtyard, asking coldly, "Did you really sell that purifier for 6 million? I shrugged and asked, "What's the problem?" It was a fair trade between a willing buyer and seller. Su Tianyu stomped his feet in a rage, growling that no matter how high a bug flies, it's still just a bug. Once the old man left, I told my parents about the exam and headed straight to the dungeon center at dawn. I ignored the level 5 beginner options and immediately selected the level 10 intermediate desert dungeon. In the blink of an eye, I was standing in a scorching wasteland where level 7 beasts roamed the sands. With a single thought, I summoned over 200 of my insect beasts to the surface. I organized them into hunting squads, 2 shield bugs, 2 blade bugs, and 1 tiger beetle per group. The notifications started flooding in immediately. Level 6 sand crab killed, 60 EXP, and 60 points gained. Suddenly, a level 7 sand crab king appeared with a dozen guards, so I deployed my armored tiger beetle. The king tried a sneak attack with its stinger, but the strike just slid harmlessly off my beetle's thick shell. I smirked. My beetle's superior racial grade completely erased that 2-level power gap. I gave the kill order, and my beetle tore off the king's claw before finishing it for 140 points. In less than 2 hours, I hit level 6. Hunting high-grade beasts makes leveling up feel like cheating. 12 hours flew by, and I reached level 8. This desert dungeon was a literal goldmine for experience. Meanwhile, at the Su mansion, Su Tianhu handed Su Jie 3 dragon blood fruits to evolve his beast's bloodline. Su Jie took them with a look of pure obsession, swearing he would never lose to me again. I spent the next few days locked in the dungeon, grinding until I finally hit level 12. I used my points to evolve my swarm, and by the morning of the exam, my legion was massive. I now commanded 132 blade bugs, 136 shield bugs, and dozens of elite armored variants. The national exam finally began, and the director announced we had 12 hours to prove our worth. The protective sphere can withstand attacks from level 15 beasts for 12 hours, and Rule 3 states every move is monitored. I stepped into the dungeon entrance and was instantly teleported to the grand exam stage. I found myself in a lush green meadow where low-level beasts roamed freely. I raised my hand to check my smartwatch. It showed a score of 0 and a rank of 3,241. I didn't hesitate to summon my entire insect swarm, organizing squads of shield bugs, blade bugs, and tiger beetles to sweep the area. Outside the dungeon, the director and the chief examiner stared at the giant screen, too stunned to speak. In just 30 minutes, an unbelievable number appeared on the leaderboard, 2,580 points, putting me at the top of the region. Meanwhile, Su Jie was struggling way back in 136th place. The other students cried out in shock at my insane clearing speed, but I was already deep in the central zone. Suddenly, a massive swordpool tiger, 7 meters long and 4 meters high, lunged from the shadows. I scanned it, an elite swordpool tiger, level 12, with 900 strength and 660 speed. It managed to knock back one of my bugs, but the other 9 swarmed it instantly, stripping it to a skeleton in seconds. I sighed, thinking that while one-on-one combat isn't my swarm's specialty, sheer numbers solve everything. That single battle netted me 2,880 points, and over the next 5 hours, my score skyrocketed into the top 3. The observation hall was packed with Lanai City's elite, including the Great Beast Tamer Master and Mayor Luai. When they saw me controlling hundreds of beasts simultaneously, the room went dead silent from the shock. The director tried to downplay it, muttering that an insect sea tactic was unorthodox and lacked staying power. He pointed at Su Jie's subspecies dragon, claiming that once it evolved into a true dragon, it would be unstoppable. He argued that a single dragon lizard could wipe out my entire insect legion in one breath. 9 hours flew by, my level hit 13, and I sat comfortably at the very top of the rankings. My total points hit 26,900, and I immediately dumped them all into accelerating the production of tiger head armor bugs. Night fell, and I checked my smartwatch to see a staggering score of 97,960 points. I was holding on to first place, but I wasn't satisfied yet. Most beast tamers choose to rest at night, but I decided to push into Area 3 to farm even more points. The monsters there are above level 13, and their combat power doubles under the cover of darkness. I kept a swarm of tiger head armor bugs close for protection, while sending the rest of my insect squads out to hunt. Minutes later, a notification flashed in my mind. I had slain a level 13 shadow cat, earning 390 experience points. I checked the kill site and found a tiny shadow cat carcass surrounded by the remains of a dozen of my heavy insects. Outside the dungeon, the mayor and the officials were stunned that I could hunt shadow cats, a feat even dragon types struggle with at night. The director of education stared at the screen and shouted that I had already climbed to 13th place in the entire province. If I pushed harder, I could reach the top 10, a feat no student from Lanai City had ever achieved in the great exam. By dawn, I reached the border of areas 1 and 2, where every monster was level 14 or higher. This zone was originally designed as an exclusive playground for the children of the province's elite families. After a night of relentless grinding, my score hit 117,800 and my own level rose to 14. I didn't stop to rest and charged straight into Area 1, passing other tamers huddled inside their protective shields. Sensing a high-level void claw bear nearby, I sent 3 tiger head armor bugs ahead to scout until a massive roar echoed through the trees. My scouts had stumbled right into the beast, and by the time I arrived, 3 of my tiger beetles were already dead. Ignoring the sting of the loss, I spent 20,000 points instantly to max out the reproduction speed of my tiger head swarm. My mega shield beetles tanked the bear's strikes while my blade bugs flanked it, allowing the tiger head armor bugs to tear into it. After several brutal rounds of combat, we finally brought down the level 15 Void Claw Bear. Inside his protective shield, he witnessed the whole process and muttered, "Ginkgo is too powerful." With only 4 hours left, Su Dason watched the live stream from his mansion and mocked me for being in first place. His aunt, standing beside him, grew even more furious. This glory was supposed to belong to the Su family. I led my massive insect army through a sweep of Area 1 when suddenly, everything changed. An alert flashed from my blade and shield bugs, and when I arrived, I saw them being slaughtered. I roared like thunder, "What are you doing? How dare you kill my beasts?" The man sneered, "Your beasts are just bugs. Any objections?" As a swarm of my insects surged behind me. The opponent froze in terror at the sight, just as the chief examiner's voice crackled through our smartwatches. The announcement declared that the student Goyo had recklessly attacked another's beasts, resulting in a 10,000-point penalty. I felt a cold wave of satisfaction. My bugs were only injured, but my opponent just lost a fortune in points. The voice added that any appeals must be filed with the committee later, but the damage was already done. I recalled my insect army and walked away, leaving a stunned Weiyue behind as I vanished into the trees. Weiyue watched his rank plummet from 9th to 11th and cursed. Is that brat using bugs to bait people? It didn't matter now, the points were gone, and he had to refocus on the hunt as the battle raged on. I continued using my blade and shield bugs as scouts, but several were instantly wiped out again. Anything that can kill my front line that fast is a serious threat, so I brought up my entire main force. A boar-like creature was gnawing on my insects' corpses, and my system identified it, steel-spined earth dragon. It was an extraordinary tier plant hybrid, a descendant of a dragon and a boar with a trace of true dragon blood. I took a deep breath. Its bloodline was as pure as Su Ji's ice dragon, and it was my first time seeing an extraordinary beast. If I could kill it, I'd net 9,600 points instantly, and the thought of it made my blood boil with excitement. I showed this extraordinary tier beast the respect it deserved by deploying every tiger head, mad blade, and giant shield bug I had. Back in the conference hall, a teacher gasped as they watched me face off against a true dragon species, steel-spined earth dragon. Mayor Luo AI looked worried, noting that while defeating it would be great, heavy casualties would do me more harm than good. Yang Hing rubbed his hands nervously as the leaderboard froze, with the verification channel closing 6 hours before the exam's end. The only thing anyone could confirm was that I had already secured a spot in the top 10 of the instance. The steel-spined earth dragon didn't hesitate for a second, charging toward me with terrifying speed. I knew if that thing hit me directly, I'd be dead on the spot. But my 12 tiger head armored bugs stepped up, actually bracing themselves and absorbing the dragon's impact. The observers outside were stunned, unable to believe my insects could withstand a direct hit from a creature of that caliber. Mayor Luo AI smiled, reminding everyone that I'm a rare dual talent user with a specific leadership talent. My talent scales my army's power based on their numbers, and with hundreds of insects, the buff was massive. With my 0.3x overall strength boost and overwhelming numbers, I had finally closed the gap between our species tiers. My entire swarm swarmed the dragon, and despite its superior stats, the beast was instantly covered in deep gashes. The monitoring room was buzzing, with officials amazed that I could rack up points while soloing a boss-level opponent. They speculated my score was among the best in the province, though the provincial rankings were now hidden. With the regional data blocked, no one knew how the different areas compared to one another. It's the same every year. The province loves keeping the final results a mystery until the very end. Everyone was dying to know exactly where I would land on the final provincial leaderboard. After thousands of wounds were carved into its hide, the steel-spined earth dragon finally collapsed with a thunderous thud. I successfully took down the level 15 beast, but losing 2 tiger head bugs to its spine stung my heart. The point gap was massive, a total of 9,600 points, but I couldn't stop to celebrate yet. It took nearly an hour to kill that dragon, so I led my remaining insect army deeper into Area 1. Back in the conference hall, the officials were buzzing because I had slain the dragon on the very first day. My score was becoming terrifying, and people were already betting I'd crack the provincial top 10. Mayor Luo AI stood up, announcing that with only 2 hours left, the results were practically set in stone. Linai City had achieved its best results in history, and it was time to welcome the young tamers back. Yang Hing clasped his hands in prayer for my ranking, while the other directors told him to stop stressing. He just smiled bitterly, knowing a student like me only comes around once in a lifetime. Linai City was at a boiling point, with everyone certain I had secured the #1 spot in the region. Meanwhile, at the Su family mansion, my aunt looked at my grandfather, Su Tian, like he was a senile old man. She asked why they hadn't apologized to my father yet, especially since I was proving everyone wrong. She reminded him that regardless of the feud, I still carried the Su family blood. Su Tian's eyes flashed with sudden rage at her words. He blamed her for the family's current mess, threatening to kick them all out if not for my cousin, Wuhan. June 8th, noon, the exam officially ended, and I was teleported out with a final score of 168,880. I was first in Linai City and first in the 7th area, but my provincial rank remained locked. The crowd realized that a locked rank meant I was officially among the top 50 in the entire province. Linai City had never even seen a top 100 finish, let alone a top 50. I was making history. People started whispering about my connection to the Su family, one of the biggest businesses in the city. But when they heard the family had kicked me out for my weak talent, they couldn't believe how blind the Sus were. The word spread. I had achieved all of this through my own strength alone. It had nothing to do with the Su family, and soon, people began boycotting their businesses. At the dungeon center, every eye was on me, remembering that last year's top provincial score was only 160,000. Could I really be #1 in the province? It seemed ridiculous for a small city like Linai. Mayor Luo AI was already on the phone with provincial officials, his hands shaking as he waited for confirmation. After hanging up, his heart was racing as he turned toward Director Yang Hing and the others. I hadn't just taken the top spot, I had shattered the records for the entire Haida province. Yang Hing dropped to his knees in shock while the chief examiner approached the mayor to offer his congratulations. The examiner reported that the cleanup crews were already inside the dungeon, finishing the final sweep. The mayor invited them to stay for dinner, but they declined, citing strict military orders to return immediately. Luo AI nodded, realizing the rest of the city was waiting in agony for the official announcement. I walked through the dungeon gates as the mayor addressed the crowd of students. He told them that regardless of their scores, their true journey as beast tamers was only just beginning. But then, the citywide broadcast cut in with a special announcement that silenced everyone. The announcer's voice boomed, declaring that the national exams had officially concluded with a historic result. They announced my name, Su Min, from Aomori High, as the new #1 rank in Haida province. I hadn't just won, I had achieved the highest score in the history of the entire province. The exhausted students stared at me in stunned silence as I gave them a small, calm wave. Outside the gates, thousands had gathered to hear Mayor Luo AI proclaim me the first provincial champion from Linai. He declared that my name would be carved into the city's history forever, and I knew he was right. Mayor Luo AI looked at me and said, Su Min, you've all worked hard, so go home and rest for now. A large bus arrived to pick up the students, but the mayor's private car pulled up right in front of me. Su Min, come with me, he said. I'll drive you back personally. Meanwhile, news of my provincial ranking reached the Su family mansion, and Su Tianhu nearly fell out of his chair. No, I have to find Su, he muttered. Su Min must return to this family at any cost. He was desperate. He was even willing to hand the entire family leadership over to my father, Su. My uncle's face went pale. Dad, you can't be serious. We're on bad terms with them. If you go now, you're just asking for a humiliation. Su Tianhu snapped back. Am I so old that I need you to tell me how to handle my business? The mayor's sedan pulled up to my house, but another familiar car was already parked at the gate. I recognized it immediately. It was Su Tianhu's car, and he was clearly here to beg for a reconciliation. I invited the mayor and director Yang inside, calling out to my parents that we had important guests. Su Tianhu stepped forward, and the mayor smiled, thinking this was just a happy family reunion. My father sat everyone down, and the room went quiet until the mayor told Su Tianhu to speak first. Su Tianhu nodded and said, "Since the mayor is here to witness this, I'll get straight to the point. I am stepping down as the head of the Su family and naming my second son, Su, as my successor." My father froze in shock, but I didn't hesitate to cut the old man off right then and there. "Wait a minute," I said coldly. "We left your family, and my father has zero interest in your title." Su Tianhu panicked, trying to explain that his past favoritism was just a business decision for the family. He claimed he only chose to support Su Yuan back then because resources for beast tamers were limited. My parents looked at me, waiting for my opinion, but I just shook my head. I told him I didn't care if he recognized my parents now. We were never going back to the Su family. I watched his figure age a decade in an instant as he turned to leave. The mayor couldn't help but ask, "Su Min, why not return? The Su family still has significant wealth. Even with your talent, family support would make your cultivation much easier." I looked at him and said, "Mayor, if my results had been mediocre, he wouldn't have even looked at us. Even if we knelt in his courtyard for 3 days, he wouldn't have come out to see us." The mayor nodded in approval and let out a small laugh. "Su Min took first place in the province and brought honor to our city," he told my parents. He stood up to bow, but my father immediately held him back, saying it was just my duty. "It's been a long time since we've had a beast tamer like him, and I'm here to deliver the city's thanks." I was surprised, but I was definitely looking forward to whatever resources the city was offering. Mayor Luo pulled out a list and declared that the city would support my future training with everything they had. The municipal rewards for my performance had been approved immediately. First, for the cash reward, we are giving Su Min 30 million daxia coins directly. We also have 5 doses of bloodline purification agent and 20 million in additional resources. Finally, we have a 1,000 square meter luxury apartment for you in the Tianfu No. 1 district. Tianfu No. 1 was the most secure area in the city. It would keep my parents safe. I thanked him, but asked if I could exchange the physical resources for their cash value instead. Director Yang chimed in. "The school is also awarding you 20 million, and I can transfer it right now." "Thank you, Director. I accept everything." In less than half an hour, 70 million coins were credited to my bank account. Mayor Luo told me the purification agents would be delivered later and urged me to rest. "Su Min, your results put you at the top of the list for the Big Four academies. They'll do everything in their power to compete for you. Wait for them to offer their prices before you make a decision." I was stunned. "The Big Four? Mayor Luo, you mean they're coming here for me?" As the top student in Haida province, it would be strange if they didn't show up in person. They'll likely arrive within 2 days, so do your research online and be ready. Director Yang and the mayor said their goodbyes, leaving me with my parents. My parents stared at me with burning eyes until I asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" The next second, they both pulled me into a tight hug, beaming with pride. Back in my room, I immediately converted the 70 million coins into 7,230,000 consumption points. I decided to evolve my tiger armored beetle, spending 15,000 points to turn it into a tiger beetle. The evolution was a success, but my real goal was the super counterattack. I spent another 35,000 points to evolve the tiger beetle into an armored beetle level 1. The feedback speed for an armored beetle level 1 was once every 24 hours. I still had over 200,000 points left, so I checked the cost to upgrade my knife beetle's feedback speed. By spending 190,800 points, I could trigger feedback every 10 minutes. That's 144 times a day. I realized then that my swarm leader talent thrives on massive numbers and low-level beasts. I'll stack my talent bonuses with massive numbers, then use the level 1 armored beetle's counterattack as my ultimate weapon. The next morning, I woke up early and hopped on my computer to research the Big Four academies. Daxiao Taming Academy has deep roots, Edu has the most funding, and the Military Academy offers the best combat experience. Polar Academy specializes in ice and water, so I can cross them off the list. Now I just need to see what the others offer. Meanwhile, Director Yang was holding a press conference where a reporter asked if my beast was just a basic insect. Yang Jin looked him dead in the eye and said, "It's true, but calling it basic is a mistake. In the world of taming, there are no bad beasts, only bad tamers." He asked the crowd if any of them really thought a weak tamer would be scouted by the Big Four. He told them the final choice was in my hands, even though he hadn't heard from the admissions offices yet. Just then, his secretary whispered in his ear, and Yang Jin's expression shifted instantly. He excused himself, leaving the vice director and my teacher, Ms. Li, to handle the reporter's questions. My phone rang. It was the director telling me the Big Four scouts were already at the school and waiting for me. I agreed immediately and shouted toward the kitchen, "Mom, Dad, I'm heading to school." I told them the academies were here and I was going to see what kind of deals they were offering. My dad just smiled and said, "Go get him, son. We support whatever choice you make." I reached the school meeting room and pushed the door open. The 4 scouts stood up the moment they saw me, their eyes practically glowing with excitement. Director Yang introduced me to Zhang Yan from Adu Imperial and Lung Yu from the Polar Academy. Then he introduced Sujin, he from the Military Academy, and Zhou Wu from the Daxia Imperial Academy. I gave them a respectful nod and said, "Hello, teachers." The scout from Daxia spoke up, "Su Min, we represent the 4 most powerful academies in the country. We all hope you'll join us, but in the end, the choice is yours." Zhou Wu raised his hand and said, "Su Min, I have a few questions first, if you don't mind." Director Yang confirmed you're a dual talent tamer, but do you really plan to only contract insects in the future? I looked him in the eye and said, "Yes." He nodded, admitting that for anyone else it would be a problem, but for me, it wasn't. Director Yang chimed in, noting that I might not fully understand what each academy brings to the table. He told the scouts that it all came down to which school could offer me the best future. Since the director is being so blunt, Lung Yu said, "Then my Polar Academy will start the bidding." She turned to me and asked, "Su Min, do you know much about the Polar Imperial Academy? I know you focus on northern formations and tamers with ice or military attributes," I replied. She nodded, explaining that while that's their specialty, they are desperate for absolute talents like me. "We have the largest tamer base in the country and plenty of high-level insects to offer. Join us, and we'll guarantee you a king-level mentor. Sign with us, and we'll even grant you a beast with a racial value at the lord level. You'll get a special grade bloodline purification agent, a $3 million annual stipend, and $10 million upfront just for signing." She added that the purification agent could cleanse a beast's bloodline for at least 3 generations. Zhou Wu smiled faintly and stood up, claiming Daxiao Imperial was the strongest academy in the nation. "We have the most complete cultivation system and the strongest faculty, including 23 king-level masters. Join us, and we also guarantee a king-level mentor and a lord-level beast to start your journey. But we'll give you 3 purification agents, the same annual stipend, and 13 million the moment you sign." I looked at Zhou Wu. I thought he was going to offer something massive, but he was just barely outbidding the last offer. Yang stood up and said, "Su Min, Adu Imperial has everything they have and more. We'll match their resources and give you 4 special-grade purification agents the moment you enroll. On top of that, we offer a $5 million stipend, 20 million upfront, and top-tier resource access." Then Su Jinj from the Daxia military stood up and admitted they couldn't promise as much cash as Adu. "Our signing bonus matches Polar Academy, but we offer 3 special-grade agents and an immediate rank of commander. Plus, our military has a king-level master who owns the highest-rated king-level heavy insect in existence." I thought about it. Getting a king-level beast was a matter of luck, but how many resources would it consume? The others tried to warn me, saying I was too new to understand how hard it is for king-level beasts to reproduce. Zhang Yang interrupted, mocking the idea that a stubborn master like the Stinky King would even accept me as a student. Su Jinj didn't have a guaranteed slot for me. It was a gamble where opportunity and risk lived side by side. Could I really turn down the chance at a king-rank beast? "Fine," I said. "I choose the Daxiao military." The moment the words left my mouth, Su Jinj rushed over and slammed the contract down in front of me. I stood up, thanked the other recruiters, and told them the risk of the king-rank beast was worth taking. As soon as I signed my name, Su Jinj let out a massive sigh of relief and welcomed me to the Daxiao army. I asked when classes started, and he told me a fighter jet would pick me up in exactly 1 week. Seeing the deals being made, Zhang Yang immediately turned his attention to my sister, Su Yuhan. He offered her a $2 million stipend to join his group instead. "We can even give you an ultimate bloodline purification agent to refine your beast's lineage," he promised her. The Polar Academy scout chimed in too, telling her that her ice dragon was a perfect fit for their school. Su Yuhan looked at me, her eyes filled with a crushing sense of disparity. Compared to my deals, hers were nothing. When I got home, my parents were still waiting for me for dinner, and a wave of warmth flooded my chest. As soon as I sat down at the table full of my favorite dishes, my father asked if I'd chosen a school yet. "The Daxiao military," I said, and my parents' movements suddenly froze in midair. I knew they were worried about the danger, but I told them that the intensity of the military was exactly why I chose it. I told them to move to the Tianfu No. 1 district for safety once I left, but my father just laughed and told me not to worry. Over the next week, I hit the dungeons every single day to grind my level from 15 up to 17. The higher the level, the slower the progress, as the experience requirements started becoming massive. I heard Su Yuhan chose Polar Academy, where they guaranteed her a tutor with a high-level ice attribute beast. On the 7th day, a massive military transport plane arrived to pick me up for my solo journey. The officer confirmed my identity and told me to board, noting I was the only one being picked up in Linai. I looked back at my parents in the waiting area one last time as the officer explained that Linai was the final stop on the route. Inside the cabin, I heard someone calling me Big Brother and saw it was Yu Ming'ai, the kid who got stuck in the protective orb. He scratched his head in embarrassment, remembering how I had to save him during the exam. He never expected the guy he met back then would turn out to be the top student in the entire province. I asked how he got into a top 4 school, and he admitted his father used his military connections to pull some strings. I nodded with a smile, realizing Yu Ming'ai's family influence was definitely not ordinary. 6 hours later, the plane touched down, and I saw massive, towering buildings piercing the skyline outside the window. An announcement boomed through the cabin, welcoming us to the Dacia military and reminding us that the monster threat remains. The voice told us to disembark in an orderly fashion and board the vehicles waiting to take us to the main campus. As I stepped off the plane, I did a quick count. There were only 133 of us admitted from the entire Edo region. The bus pulled up to the main campus, and Yu Ming'ai nudged me. He asked if I knew someone in the military government, pointing toward a middle-aged man holding a sign. The sign simply said Su Min, but I didn't recognize the man at all. He looked handsome, but a bit disheveled as he looked up and asked if I was the top student from Edo. I nodded, and he immediately tossed his sign in the trash and told me to follow him. I was baffled and asked what he wanted, only for him to reveal he was my new tutor. A realization flashed through my mind, and I asked with a shock, "Are you the Free King Xiao Yao?" He smirked and asked if I was ready to go, but I told him I hadn't even officially enrolled yet. He dismissed it, saying the staff would handle the paperwork while I focused on my cultivation. I was stunned by the rush, but I told Yu Ming'ai to call me if he needed anything and followed my new master. Yu Ming'ai watched me go, sighing at the perks of being a top student with a star tutor assigned on day one. As we walked, my tutor noticed my silence and told me to ask the many questions he knew I had. I gave a bitter smile and admitted I had so many questions I didn't even know where to start. He introduced himself as Yi Quantian, explaining that his Free King title matched his carefree personality. He told me he decided to hunt me down personally to avoid the headache of waiting for me to find him. I asked what would happen to my regular classes since I didn't have my student ID or formalities done. He told me he'd already handled the paperwork and that as my tutor, he decided my curriculum. He suddenly stopped in his tracks, turned around, and looked me dead in the eye. "Su Min, remember this. You came to this academy to get strong, not to sit in a classroom. What's the point of taking a class with dozens of other people?" I nodded and asked, "Master, I heard the academy uses a point system. How does that work?" "It's vital," he replied. "Points are the only currency that matters here. Cash is useless inside these walls. You earn them by hunting beasts or completing academy missions, then trade them for top-tier resources. Aside from mastering the point system, there isn't much else you need to worry about. Your only real job is to complete the training courses I assign you on time." We stopped in front of a domed building labeled Mission Hall, and I asked what we were doing there. Yi Quantian led me to a terminal and told me I needed to accept the Zenmoda mission. He looked at me and asked for my student ID, but I reminded him I had just arrived and didn't have one. He made a quick call to get my number, and once entered, the machine chimed. "Congratulations, Su Min, mission accepted. Points will sync to your account in real time upon completion. Good luck." Yi Quantian turned to me. "In the future, always check for missions before you head out. If you can finish one along the way, do it. Once your senior finishes your registration, you can accept these online without coming to the hall." I looked at the screen and asked, "Master, what exactly is this Zenmoda mission?" "It's a dungeon," he explained. "A place to test a student's total combat power. The higher you climb, the more you earn." I realized what was happening. "You're testing me, aren't you? You want to see what I'm made of? I'm a star-rank beast tamer, kid. I don't care if you were the top student in the province. I need to see it for myself." He led me toward the dungeon entrance, explaining that the difficulty scales based on the cultivator's age. "You're 18, so the dungeon will adjust to that level." I looked at the massive structure of Zenmoda. "So the higher I go, the harder it gets? The difficulty just keeps ramping up. Pick a channel, enter your ID, and the dungeon will warp you exactly where you need to be. Now move." The dungeon channel opened up to warp me exactly where I needed to go. I entered my student ID and stepped inside without looking back. Outside, Yi Quantian sat down and pulled up the real-time data panel to watch me. A message chimed, "Welcome to Zenmoda," and a level 1 giant hare lunged at me. I killed it instantly and reached level 30 in just 10 minutes. I realized these kills don't grant experience or points. This is strictly a test of raw power. Back at the control center, a handsome student sat down next to Yi Quantian. "Master, I've finished the junior's registration. What level is he at now?" "Level 30 in 10 minutes, the master replied. "His speed is almost identical to yours last year." When Foshing smiled and noted that the early stages for an 18-year-old aren't difficult. The real challenge starts after level 50 when you face extraordinary tier enemies. Inside, my army of heavy ants had already grown past 1,500 soldiers. With my armor-clad bugs providing a tenfold combat boost, I was tearing through everything. In the blink of an eye, I cleared level 60. Yi Quantian grinned. "Level 60 in half an hour. How long did it take you back then?" "An hour and a half," when Foshing muttered, unable to believe the speed. He couldn't understand how a level 17 junior could clear extraordinary tier mobs so fast. Yi Quantian reminded him that I wasn't just any student. I was the top scorer of Haida Province. When Foshing conceded that being the top student made the gap in our strength make sense. But I wasn't slowing down. I blew past level 70, making my student ID flash on the leaderboard. My score shot straight onto the record boards, drawing a massive crowd of students. They stared, wondering who this nameless student ID belonged to as I hit level 70 in under an hour. The crowd buzzed, asking if anyone had ever seen an 18-year-old hit level 73 before. By the 2-hour mark, I reached level 83 and stood before a level 19 extraordinary rock golem. I started to feel the pressure, but I commanded my heavy ants to combine their strength. With my talent buff, it was difficult, but I still tore the golem apart. Next up was a level 19 extraordinary rock dragon, a beast with bloodline power that didn't scare me yet. Outside, the spectators were losing their minds, wondering where my limit actually was. When Fashing laughed, telling the master he hadn't expected me to cause such a massive scene. Equantion remained calm, noting that this display of power matched everything he'd heard about me. When Fashing asked if my golden horn magic bug was about to reproduce, but the master shook his head. He explained that king-tier beast reproduction is nearly impossible, even for a talent like mine. After 3 hours, my heavy ant army finally hit its limit, and a message flashed, level 91 reached. I stepped out of the warp gate only to find the exit swarming with people. A student rushed up, asking if I was the freshman who just cleared the Zenmoda labyrinth. I gave a simple nod, and the entire area erupted into cheers. They told me I had just shattered the school's all-time record for a freshman. I didn't think it was a big deal, so I just asked them to let me through. I pushed through the crowd and approached the master, apologizing for only making it to level 91. When Fashing immediately praised me, reminding me that I had only just started at the academy. The master made the introductions, telling me, Sumin, this is your senior, when Fashing. It's a pleasure, junior, when said with a grin. You really surprised me by hitting level 80 right out of the gate. The master gestured for us to move, noting that the crowd was getting too thick for a real conversation. We started walking to escape the sea of spectators pressing in on us. The students finally realized who I was, the new recruit handpicked by the great medicine king. They whispered that the master was one of the strongest in the army, and he only ever chose the absolute best. Once we reached the inner hall, the master told me my performance in the Zenmoda labyrinth proved the rumors were true. He claimed that among every freshman in the entire country this year, my strength was easily in the top 3. When Fashing laughed, complaining that the master only gave him a mediocre rating back in his day. He handed me a transparent bag containing my student ID, my dorm key for Area A Room 71, and a manual. He explained that my promised rewards, including the bloodline purification agents, were ready for pickup at the treasury. I thanked him and nodded, knowing my success rate for high-level taming was still low since I wasn't level 20 yet. The master looked at me seriously and promised to guide me with everything he had since I chose him as my mentor. He admitted he knew I likely chose him because he owned the world's only king-tier golden horn magic bug. Don't be modest, he said. A tamer's worth is measured by their beasts, so wanting a strong bloodline is natural. It wasn't a surprise to him at all. He promised that if his magic bug ever successfully reproduced, the offspring would definitely be mine. I gave a bitter smile and told him that even if he gave it to me now, I wouldn't be strong enough to contract it. That's true, the master replied. But since you've accepted me as your teacher, I still have other gifts for you. I told him the honor of being his student was enough, which made when Fashing beam with pride. The master laughed, telling me that when Fashing had said the exact same thing when he started. I summoned my armored worm, a beast over 3 meters tall clad in thick black plating. When your senior arrived, I helped evolve his beast from extraordinary to Lord Tier, the master noted, studying my worm. When Fashing beamed with pride, reminding me that our master was one of the few king-tier cultivators in the country. My eyes lit up, knowing a king-tier cultivator was a walking encyclopedia of beast knowledge and rare resources. I looked at him with genuine admiration and told him, Master, you really are incredible. If he evolved my worm to Lord Tier, my system would generate a Lord Tier template for me to replicate indefinitely. One laughed, noting that the master had just gained another loyal fanboy. The master turned to him and asked, how many of your assignments have you actually finished? One. Wen's face went pale as he stammered, Master, Junior, I just remembered I have things to do. I'm leaving. Before the master could even respond, when Fashing bolted out of the room, leaving me stunned. The master sighed and told me that while he opens the door, my cultivation ultimately depends on my own effort. He used Wen as an example, noting that he's already a sophomore and has surpassed level 40. His requirement for Wen was to hit the school's top 10 and earn 5,000 contribution points every month. For me, based on my tower performance, he set 3 goals for the coming month. I had to take first place in the freshman competition and break into the school's top 200 overall rankings. Finally, I needed to earn 1,000 contribution points, not counting any rewards from the competition. I felt a surge of pressure. The schedule was packed, and the difficulty was no joke. He explained the freshman competition starts after the 3rd week, offering 3,000 points and Class A resource access. He clarified that the bloodline purification agent I just received was a prime example of those Class A resources. The master explained that the special grade bloodline agent I just got is actually a Class B resource. I realized the higher the grade, the higher the value, then asked about the school's ranking lists. He broke it down. The Heaven list is for level 50s, Earth for levels 30 to 50, and the People list for those under 30. I asked if there were really freshmen under level 30, and he confirmed there were about 200 of us. He told me my task was simple, defeat a senior on the People list to take their spot. I smirked and promised to get it done, so he told me to ask one about the rankings and online missions. He kept my beast to evolve it quickly, making sure I'd have it back in time for the freshman tournament. With that, I left the master's residence and headed out. I was about to call when I heard him whispering my name from where he was hiding in the park. I asked why he was still there, and he admitted he was waiting to make sure the master hadn't followed me. He beckoned me to follow him, warning me that the master is only kind if you actually finish your assignments. He asked what my first month's goals were, and I told him, first place in the tournament and top 200 on the people list. Wen's eyes nearly popped out of his head when I mentioned the 1,000 contribution points on top of that. He told me the tournament would be brutal because 3 other freshmen were admitted as valedictorians this year. But he insisted the hardest part would be the top 200, even if I hit level 20 within the month. He shook his head, explaining that the seniors on that list are old foxes who refuse to level up past 30. They camp at that level just to hoard the school's resources until they're forced out or defeated by a newcomer. Wen pulled up the academy's rankings on his phone and scrolled to the very bottom of the people list. To break into the top 200, I'd have to defeat a guy named Wan Huolin, a level 30 with 2 extraordinary tier beasts. The gap in our levels and beast tiers was massive. The pressure was finally starting to set in. Wen suggested I wait until the last day to see if anyone drops out of the top 200. I told him his advice was useless, then asked how these challenges actually work. He explained the academy built a massive combat platform for this exact purpose. I don't need to find the seniors in person. I just have to fight their digital avatars. The data makes these images move exactly like the real person. There's basically no difference. Wen reminded me that clearing floor 91 of the Demon Array Tower should have earned me some points. I checked my account and saw exactly 900 contribution points sitting there. I asked if I could just clear it again to double my points, but he shut that down fast. Once a floor is cleared, you only get points for breaking new records or aging into a new bracket. We reached the dorms, and Wen opened the door to a massive 50 square meter living room. I asked about the dress code, and he said uniforms aren't mandatory except for special events. I pulled up the campus app to claim my 10 million credit reward, but it asked for a bank link first. After linking my card, the 10 million hit my account along with 3 doses of Bloodline Agent. Wen's eyes widened, telling me those special grade agents are worth a fortune on the market. He estimated I could sell them for 5,000 contribution points or up to 20 million Axia coins. I decided to hold on to them for now and see if I actually need to sell them later. Once Wen left, I sat on the sofa to map out my cultivation plan and hit that 1,000 point goal. I scrolled through the level 1 missions, which pay about 100 to 200 points each. To save time, I picked 2 identical hunting missions in the advanced forest of grazing. I need to hunt 100 bristle porcupines and 100 fruit scale chickens to grind out some experience. Standing in the dungeon center, I watched students stream into the forest of grazing. I summoned thousands of sword and shield worms, ordering them to hunt every creature in sight. Within hours, my scouts transmit a signal. They've located a pack of bristle porcupines. I order my army to surround the hill, letting the shield worms crush 40 porcupines to death. In under 10 minutes, I harvest 43 intact carcasses and move to the next target. 20 hours later, I've slaughtered 137 porcupines and 112 chickens, both missions complete. I hit level 18 and bank over 10,000 consumption points from the grind. I head to the task center and load the carcasses onto the inspection platform for verification. With the missions logged, I look at the dozens of extra carcasses still in my storage ring. I call Wen and ask if there's a way to sell these monster remains for a profit. He tells me to meet him at the dorms to discuss selling the materials and the bloodline agents. I check with the system to see what those 3 special grade agents are worth in points. They're worth 300,000 points, but selling them to Wen for elephant rice is much more profitable. Wen arrives and nods in satisfaction as I pull out the remaining monster carcasses. He promises me 3 million in revenue, so I hand over 5 special grade agents as well. I ask him what his cut should be for running all these errands for me. He waves his white-gloved hand and tells me not to be so polite. He claims he's the best reseller in the academy and promises me the highest prices. Now, I need to focus on leveling up fast to prepare for the upcoming challenges. I head back to the dungeon center, only to run into Yu Ming-ai and a senior named Chen Yifan. Chen Yifan smiled and said, "Junior Su-min, hello. I'm with the Mutual Protection Association. Why not join us? Our members help each other tackle the toughest missions. You know the pressure from the academy's workload is intense." I shook my head. I need to think about it. I have things to do first. I walked away. He stared at my back, confused, thinking, this Su-min looks familiar, but I can't place him. I ignored his invitation and accepted 2 more level 1 dungeon tasks to grind power and contribution points. 2 weeks later, I was a pro at task selection. Just as I was heading out, my master called. "Su-min, are you still at the academy? Get over here. Your beast has successfully evolved." I sprinted. What should have been a 10-minute walk took me only 3. I arrived drenched in sweat. Yi Quantian looked at me and said, "Calm down. See for yourself." He pointed, and there it was, a pitch-black swordworm, 6 feet tall with 4 wings on its back. The system notification flashed. Name, swordworm. Rank, Lord. Level, 22. Its evolved body is incredibly fast, with blade-like arms and heavy armor plating for defense. Strength, 10,200. Speed, 15,000. I was stunned. Both stats were well over 10,000. If I could mass-produce hundreds of these, I wouldn't just beat Earth dragons, I'd crush true dragons. Master, this is my swordworm. It's incredible. I couldn't hide my excitement. The evolution path my master used was different from the one the system suggested. It proves insect beasts have multiple paths, even if most people think they're too small to matter. The system's path is clearly superior, and it's already generated a new egg for me to hatch. I need to contract more diverse insect beasts. After all, my taming space has no limits. Thinking of this, my mind immediately went to the academy. They promised me a pre-sale on a Lord-level beast, and at level 22, contracting one should be easy. This is your swordworm, Master said. But to be honest, this evolution route isn't the best. From his perspective, in a king-level breeding lab, an imperfect evolution was a failure. I didn't care. My strength comes from numbers, and I only needed a general to lead my cannon fodder. This is already great, Master. Now I can fly. Yi Quantian gave a small smile. He gestured for me to store it, then asked how my 15 days of missions had gone. Yi Quantian couldn't hide his admiration when I told him I was level 22 and had 1,000 points. 5 levels, and 2,000 contribution points in 15 days? How did you do it? I explained that I stack multiple missions in a single dungeon run to maximize efficiency. Leveling up is the priority, I said. The missions are just something I do along the way. I'm glad you understand that, he replied. I worried I was pushing you too hard, but you have room to grow. I'll be watching your rank on the human list. Now go. I left his residence, found a quiet spot, and pulled out my phone to search for Lord-level insects. The military only had 5 available, each costing a staggering 100,000 contribution points. I chose the bloodthirsty demon worm. I don't need defense. I just need to kill as fast as possible. After confirming the trade, I took a car to the academy's massive insect farm. A woman in black stockings greeted me and told me to head to a private room for the transfer. I entered an empty room, swiped my ID, and the system asked if I was ready to contract the beast. A Lord-level bloodthirsty demon worm. I hit confirm without a second thought. The screen flashed. Success. Arrival in 1 hour. Please wait. I killed time in the room until a knock came. Student Sumin, your beast is here. If the contract fails, put it back in the cage for a return. All right. I knew that wouldn't happen. I shut the door. I opened the cage to find a blood-red creature, barely 50 centimeters long, with jaws built to crush bone. The bloodthirsty demon worm was supposed to be violent, but it calmed down and acted shy at my feet. The contract was finalized in a matter of seconds. People say contracting is a struggle, but for me, it was effortless. I walked out. The staff member was still nearby and asked, giving up so soon? They're hard to tame. Want to swap it? I already finished, I said. He didn't believe me. It hadn't even been a minute, so he checked the empty room. I summoned the worm from my beast's space, and he nearly choked. You're the fastest tamer I've ever seen. I just have a high affinity for insects, I explained briefly. Then, my senior Wenfashin called. Junior, I sold the items you gave me. Send me your card number. He had moved the loot I'd gathered during my missions. A minute after I sent the info, a text notification popped up, 63 million credits deposited. He called back. Those 3 special-grade purification agents went for 60 million to some rich freshman. Thanks, senior. Don't mention it. The rookie tournament is coming. You buying gear with that cash. I'll let you know if I need anything, I replied, then hung up to focus on the money. I converted the 63 million into 6.3 million consumption points, bringing my total to over 7 million. I dumped 610,000 points into leaf insect reproduction speed. Now, a new unit spawns every 3 minutes. I checked my current swarm count, 3,947 units. My power multiplier has officially hit 102 times. My leaf insects could probably kill President Lin's lower dragon species now. I spent the remaining 100,000 points on shield insect reproduction. 870,000 units. The shield mother's speed is down to 40 minutes per unit. I have 2 aces against Lin now. Time to challenge rank 200. I headed to the Combat Data Pavilion, where Robot 114 led me to a massive high-ceiling room on the 2nd floor. I inserted my student ID to select an opponent from the rankings. Check who holds the 200th spot. Rank 200 is Muja Asen. Do you wish to start the challenge? Yes, do it. Prepare in the center of the field. The battle begins in 3 minutes. The room dissolved around me, replaced by a vast, scorching desert. In the distance, a level 30 scorching sand fox and a level 30 poisonous myriapod appeared. The poisonous myriapod moved fast, but I didn't blink. I wasn't here to play games. Thousands of my insects, including the bloodthirsty demon worm and my leaf insects, roared out of my space. The leaf insects swarmed the 2 beasts. The sand fox was fast, dodging like a dragonfly on water, and lunged straight for me. A massive leaf insect instantly blocked its path, slamming its blade-like arm into the fox. Demon worm, go. The bloodthirsty demon worm, hidden in the swarm, turned into a red bolt of lightning and latched onto the fox's throat. The fox howled in agony, thrashing wildly, but it was drained into a dry husk in seconds. 1 down. With the fox dead, I focused on the poisonous myriapod. Hundreds of my leaf insects attacked, but they were being wiped out. The gap in level and racial quality was too wide. A 10 times multiplier wasn't enough for the common units. I made a call. I ordered the common swarm to retreat, leaving the battlefield to my unique leaf insect. It took to the sky immediately. a dozen shield insects charged in, using their defense to pin it down while the unique leaf insect rained strikes from above. The myriapod roared in frustration, unable to land a hit. Demon worm, finish it. I watched it latch on again. The myriapod rolled in pain, but the shield insects and the unique leaf insect closed in. In 30 seconds, it collapsed. The illusion fades away, and Robot 114 approaches me to finalize the results. I paid the 500 contribution points to automatically continue my climb through the top 200. Minutes later, the robot announces, "Congratulations, you have risen to rank 115. I'm shocked that I jumped straight to 115, but I need to be careful about exposing my full strength. The platform offers a full simulation mode until defeat for 1,000 points, and I take a sharp breath. It's too expensive. I'd rather wait until I level up again before pushing for the top 10. Meanwhile, the upperclassmen I displaced are receiving notifications that their rankings have dropped. A freshman? People are already asking who this Su-min is and how he hit rank 115 so fast. My legend begins to circulate among the sophomores, and many challenge my battle data only to be crushed by my swarm. Back at the dorm, my senior asks if I've heard of the Mutual Aid Association, but I've been ignoring them. He warns me never to join. They just exploit the strong to do their chores for them. They follow a girl from the top 5 of the heaven list, and if you don't obey, they'll coordinate an attack on you. I'm glad I didn't sign up. I fix my clothes and head to the playground for the freshman assembly. Over 3,000 freshmen gather, and I take my spot in the front of the third row next to Latson. Latson mentions my rank and says he can't wait to trade blows with me during the upcoming freshman competition. He points out Luo Chinxue in the front row, who took first place by killing a transcendent dragon. He whispers that she's the fiancée of Yin Xiao, the second-place scorer who is gunning for me. I roll my eyes and give him a cold response. What's the point of him testing me? If Yin Xiao is too scared to show up and lets his fiancée fight his battles, he's pathetic. The officials take the stage, legendary beast tamers, Principal Keon Zhou, and my teacher, Vice Principal Xia. And my teacher, Vice Principal Xia, is sitting in the third seat of the second row while Latson continues to gossip in my ear. He tells me my master, the indomitable king, once rejected Vice Principal Xia. These relationships are getting complicated. Principal Keon Zhou speaks with authority, declaring that the Daxia military is no place for the lazy or those waiting to die. He announces our first combat trial, a small demon lair discovered in the Zonzo zone, filled with monsters fiercer than any assassin. The crowd explodes as armored transport planes take off to carry us toward the demon lair's blockade zone. After landing, Keon Zhou stands before us and explains that the monsters inside won't exceed level 30. He tells us to cast aside our emotions and become butchers. This is the true freshman competition. The first prize is 3,000 contribution points and rare crystal resources, plus whatever magic boxes drop from the kills. We're each issued a protective sphere that lasts 1 hour, meant to be used only if we're in absolute mortal danger. The roars of my fellow students echo across the airport, everyone chanting about slaughtering the monsters. Kill the monsters! Kill the monsters! The entrance to the demon lair looms before us, a gateway to something dark and unknown. It's pitch black inside, and an invisible pressure weighs on my heart as floating drones move in to monitor our progress. The seal is about to open, and we have exactly 10 minutes for all 3,000 students to enter. The order is given, and we rush into the first floor. Some form teams, but I prefer to be a lone wolf. My insect army makes it impossible to work with others anyway, so I release my swarm to scout the massive floor. Suddenly, a low growl vibrates through the air, and a guardian insect by my side flashes a mental alert. I've successfully killed a level 1 demon rat, gaining 20 experience points and 20 contribution points. Level 1. That's double the experience of an ordinary assassin. This place is a gold mine for leveling up. One of my insects brings me a small purple-black crystal, the demon essence the principal mentioned, and I tuck it into my storage ring. Kill notifications started flooding my screen, all of them for demon rats. It's clear we're still on the outskirts. I need to go deeper to find high-level prey. Back at the base, hundreds of monitors broadcast our progress to the leadership. Principal Keon Zhou nods with satisfaction as he watches the live feed. The monsters on the first floor don't exceed level 5, so no one looks scared yet. My movements on the screen immediately catch Keon Zhou's attention. I've already outpaced everyone else, pushing deep into the heart of the first floor. The monsters I'm facing now have hit level 5, but they don't slow me down. Vice Principal Xia watches me and remarks that the beast tamer is her student. Keon Zhou glances over, noting that my speed isn't actually that impressive. He points out that 10 minutes have passed, and I'm still wandering the first floor. A nearby officer mentions I'm a dual genius with a massive beast space. He calls me a natural-born insect master whose swarm is invincible at this level. But Keon Zhou sees the flaw. The racial value of my insects is far too low. He thinks I'd be a one-man army with elite beasts, but these common bugs won't cut it. He doesn't know my talent prevents my low-level swarm from being outclassed. The principal estimates that at my current pace, clearing the lair will take 3 days. The first floor is a total maze, but my cutter insects finally track down a level 5 elite. I'm nearing the entrance to the second floor, and I can feel the excitement building. My swarm moves like a plague of locusts, devouring every monster in my path. If this keeps up, the students following me won't even get a chance to train. Who can they blame for not getting a taste of the action? They just aren't fast or strong enough. The Academy's goal is for everyone to train, not for one student to hog all the kills. The instructors argue back and forth about my dominance, but no one dares to actually step in. Finally, the tension breaks. If a student can kill, let them kill. You can't blame talent. Keion Zhou leaves the room, while Vice Principal Xia remains completely unbothered. I step onto the second floor, where monsters range from level 5 to 15. They're stronger, but with my tenfold stat boost, my black swarm of insects just tramples them. I clear the entire second floor in under 3 hours, leaving nothing but empty tunnels behind. Back at base, the high-level beast tamers are calling me a freak of nature. As I enter the third floor, other top students like Lei Zhen are only just reaching the second. Xia mocks the other instructors, telling them not to be bitter just because their students are slow. She shuts them down, pointing out that a beast tamer like me is a one-man army. In the war against fierce beasts, we need more people who can dominate a battlefield alone. The officials realized my insect swarm could be the ultimate weapon in large-scale warfare. 6 hours into the trial, most students are struggling on floor 2, while I'm deep in the third. My old classmate Yamengai is frustrated, wondering how I vanished so quickly. He wanted to follow me and scavenge my leftovers, but I've already wiped the floors clean. I feel the surge of power as I level up again. This cave is the perfect grinding spot. If one cutter insect isn't enough for a level 15 monster, I just send 3. I have plenty to spare. The king-level beast tamers are losing their minds over how massive my taming space must be. Since the game merged with reality, common sense is dead, and luckily, I'm on their side. I enter the fourth floor, where the cave opens into a series of massive, monster-filled chambers. The instructors watch the screen, shocked that I'm trying to solo a level 20 demonized horned rhino. They think my swarm will be spread too thin, but they don't realize how fast I can produce new units. With my tenfold boost and lord-level beasts in reserve, I wouldn't even fear a true dragon. Meanwhile, Lei Zhen and the other top 10 students gather at the entrance to the fourth floor. They see the level 20 monsters ahead and realize they'll actually have to cooperate to survive. Lei Zhen looks around and realizes someone is missing. Wait, has Su Min already gone inside? Luo Qiansu scoffed. That bug player probably got exposed the moment he hit a real monster. Lei Zhen ignores her and leads the charge, only to freeze when he sees the first gate already wide open. The floor is littered with insect carcasses. I've already cleared the bosses and left them nothing. Deep inside, I'm locked in combat with a level 23 transcendent monster, pushing my swarm to the limit. Even with my massive stat boost, these demonized beasts are strong enough to crush my shield insects. Suddenly, I hear a voice behind me. Su Min, you're being selfish. You didn't leave a single kill for us. I look back at Lei Zhen and shrug. I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to catch up. A boy behind Lei Zhen steps forward and says, "You've done enough. Step aside and let us handle the rest." I narrow my eyes and ask, "And who exactly are you?" It's clear these guys are still bitter that I took the top spot in the province over them. He sneers, "My beast could crush your bugs like ants." I just smile and say, "Then prove it." Before he could finish, a transcendent void beast charged at us with a deafening roar. Lei Zhen shouted for us to focus on the monsters first, declaring that the kill belongs to whoever lands it. As their beasts charged, I pulled my swarm back to keep them out of the crossfire. Huaiqing sneered, telling me I was smart to move, or he would have eliminated me too. The golden horned goose couldn't handle the pressure of 3 lord-level beasts at once. My eyes flashed as I sent my blade insect flying forward at extreme speed. It sliced the exhausted monster clean in half, snatching the demon essence from me instantly. Huaiqing was furious, but my blade insect was already poised to strike him if he moved. I looked him dead in the eye and asked, "Is there a problem with me finishing what I started?" I reminded him I was fighting it long before they showed up to play hero. Lei Zhen stepped in to de-escalate, reminding everyone that it's just one essence, and we need to clear the floor. Huaiqing huffed and stormed off, while Lei Zhen just gave me a bitter, tired smile. In the monitoring room, the vice principal turned pale at Huaiqing's blatant hostility. He called him a rotten apple for turning on a teammate during a trial. The instructors warned the broken crossbow king to keep his student in check before he goes down a dark path. Sweating profusely, the king promised to give the boy a harsh lesson once the competition ended. Back on the 5th floor, the lights swept across a massive, dark sea of monsters. The students gasped. There were countless beasts, all of them level 20 or higher. Lei Zhen shouted for everyone to give it their all, or we'd all be slaughtered before backup arrived. I didn't hesitate. I sent my insect tied forward like a sharp arrow, watching the kill notifications explode. I unleashed my blade insect and bloodthirsty demon insect directly at the level 27 transcendent iron bear. Lei Zhen warned me to be careful, shouting that the bear's strength becomes terrifying after demonization. Huaiqing sneered that I was seeking death, claiming no one would care if my trash insects lived or died. He commanded his 3-headed lion to accidentally strike my blade insect, laughing that mistakes happen in a crowd. A cold light flashed in my eyes just as a blood-red shadow lunged from the darkness with a bone-chilling howl. The three-headed lion was slammed down, two of its heads ripped clean off as it shrieked in agony. Lei Zhen gasped, identifying the attacker as a Lord-level pale, moon demon wolf. The monitoring room erupted in chaos as they realized a Lord-level beast had evolved right under their noses. An instructor explained that the demonic energy must have triggered a sudden bloodline evolution in the wolf. The vice principal ordered an immediate rescue, but the principal stopped him, wanting to see how we'd handle the crisis.